Wednesday, the 12th of July. Welcome to TDA, the day after, your favourite news platform and the home of popular culture as defined by the culture. I am one of your hosts, Martin Royalty.
Good morning, Big Man Use in the building.
And they call me E-Man, the pro-black activist, TDA producer and news analyst, melanin jam-packed.
Lovely. How is everyone doing this lovely morning?
Tired, but okay.
Yeah, it's a vibe. That is a word.
Tired, but okay. There you go.
You tired, Esther?
I'm just here. So there's that. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm right, man. Can't complain.
That's good. All right, question of the day. If you were a professional athlete, what sports would you compete in?
Is this athletics or this is just any sports?
Any sport.
Football.
Okay.
Professional football. Yourself?
Do you have competitions? Actually, yeah. Games, isn't it?
Yeah, matches, games.
Yeah, that's true. I
What
don't
about
know.
you? A bit,
Maybe something like tennis or something.
netball.
I did like netball.
Sorry,
actually.
I'm just being a
No, I did like netball though.
genderist.
I feel like netball is such a black girl sport. I feel like probably tennis.
I think netball is the only sport that only girls play exclusively. If I'm not mistaken.
Because men's is basketball.
There isn't a men's netball team in any, as far as I'm aware, in any world.
I think there is.
In any place in the world. Men's netball team.
I would have thought men just play basketball.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
There isn't. Netball is an exclusive women's sport,
Oh, wow.
That's lit.
if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't know that, you know. Maybe because I see all them, you know, them white blonde Australian brads playing.
No, Brad's.
Nah, that's
Playing volleyball.
Yeah.
Oh,
volleyball. That's
so-
volleyball.
That's volleyball on the
Yeah,
beach.
volleyball.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
think I'm tired as well.
Not Brad.
Chad.
So you said Brad, I knew exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I think I'd want like tennis. I might do that actually at some point in my life.
Tennis. What about badminton?
I just think those things are too small.
What do you mean?
Like the badminton thing you throw, isn't it?
Oh, the I don't even know what it's called.
I don't know what it's called, but it's just silly. Just make it a ball.
It seems. Have you ever played it before?
Yeah, in school.
It's a wavy
It's one of my
sport,
my sports.
Wavy sport. I said.
Yeah, it is, man.
Nah,
I
man.
think it's good, man.
I just think it's just no. If I have a ball, then I can see the ball. I can throw it. It's just heavy. It's just sturdier.
Yeah.
That just feels so silly to me. That it's flimsy.
No, it's aerodynamic.
Nah, man. I ain't got time for air.
It's aerodynamic. Think about the way it moves and the way it comes down. It's aerodynamic.
That's the thing. It comes down too quick for me.
No, it doesn't.
For me, I haven't played it since I was in like year 9.
When
10
it comes
maybe.
down quicker, someone slams it. But if you serve from that way, the way you're meant to serve from the bottom to up, it just
Hold on.
goes.
Let me check I'm talking about the right thing. Maybe my school had a bootleg version. So what's it called? Badminton.
That's it. Shuttlecock.
Shuttlecock, that's it.
Okay.
Shuttlecock. Pause. I'm joking. I don't even play the pause game.
Yeah, I'm talking about the same thing, man. Yeah, I don't like this. It's too flimsy. It's too silly for me. It just annoys me. I never got it right. I never could serve it. And because it's so like in the air,
Yeah.
I'd miss it when it's coming towards me
Okay.
to hit it back. Yeah, man.
You, man? What about you?
I think boxing, you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I can see it as a boxer.
Yeah.
I actually want to take up boxing actually.
Mm.
Because I do boxing, well, I do combat every week. But yesterday, I was in my element. I said, you know what, I really want to do this like even outside of my gym classes. Like I want to do it as additional on the side.
If you got like really good, yeah, they said, you know what, do an amateur fight. Would you do it?
No. I just don't want anything that I could bleed from. Because that's where they can hit you in the face and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want that.
And the body, liver shots.
Nah. The body I can do. But hitting my face, my lip is like 5 times its size. My cheeks are swollen. I just don't know. Got a black eye.
It's only temporarily.
No, because that's the thing though. What if it's not? That triggers something.
Like what, brain damage?
Yeah. I happened to my uncle, you know.
What?
He actually was a boxer. He used to do boxing, and he got hit one time, and he was in a coma.
Shit. Oh yeah, but boxing is a crazy,
Yeah,
very dangerous though.
it'd have to be like someone who I really don't like. Then I might be able to box them, or the money has to be like very, very good.
Charity.
No, I'm not doing that for charity. No way. I'm definitely not doing that for charity. I haven't got time for that. Something I'm going to put myself through for charity, I'll just give you the money. I never understand that. People are like, yeah, but it's not about just giving the money. It is. Because ultimately, it's about the money.
True, but I guess you'll be just getting other people. Like, there might be a cap on how much you're willing to give in it. But if you get other people involved and they really believe in it, they're championing it.
Yeah, but I could do that without getting beaten up.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a good game. Run. I could get people to give their money if I wanted to. And that'll be it. But physical labour, to say for charity, I don't know. It just doesn't... It's not something I particularly subscribe to. When people do, obviously, I champion them. Like, oh, yeah, this is amazing. But it's not something that I personally would do if it's not something that I enjoy doing.
You also talk about boxing?
Yeah, but he said, would I do for charity? And I said, no. Yeah.
Brent, what about you?
Football,
okay.
Brent, you think you've still got it, though?
Me?
Yeah.
Remember I played the other day when I went to Germany.
Well, how long is the other day?
A few months ago.
And was that was the first time in a while as well?
Yeah.
And
I was finished.
Oh, you finished?
I was finished.
As in afterwards?
Afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I scored most goals, but I was finished afterwards, man.
Yeah. No, listen, the recovery time these days is a lot. It took me about a week to recover from that sports day. That sports day on Wednesday, it took me about a week to recover. I was laughing and my stomach was hurting. I just had so much pain everywhere.
Man.
Yeah.
I ain't played football in years, man. Years.
Hey, when I said the other day, you thought I meant, what, years ago?
No, I thought you meant like maybe last year or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you thought that wasn't soon.
What, last
like
year?
Recent.
Yeah, that's not recent.
Last year's not recent.
In comparison to when he last played football?
Not
100%.
comparison to me.
No comparison, never. But when you said that, we hadn't spoke about his recency. Yeah.
But we're in July. So last year it's not that long ago.
To play football, of course it is.
For you to ascertain whether it is I can still play football. I don't know if it's anything else other than that. For me, it's like riding a flipping bike, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but with riding a bike, you just kind of you know what I mean? As long as your legs move, innit? But with football, like, is your brain still sharp? If you still got the twitching,
touch,
you know what I'm
your
saying?
awareness, alertness.
All of that was still there, to be honest. All of that was still there. When it first started, like, I felt a tweak in my knee. And I thought I couldn't play at all.
Yeah.
But then I continued running and I got used to the tweak in my knee. And then it disappeared.
Okay.
Then I was gone after I finished playing. I was in the club and I couldn't do anything. Like even getting out of the Uber, I'm like, ugh.
Why were you in a club in Germany?
It was somebody's stag.
Okay. Germany is an interesting choice for a stag.
It was cool. It was and the city was cool. Where we stayed anyway, to be honest. And I like the e-bikes and whatnot.
Okay.
I was right, man.
The German team. Cool.
Alrighty, well, let's get into our headlines.
Let's do it. All right, so our first headline, yeah. I mean, I feel like we haven't kind of spoke about Zelensky for a while, yeah, to some degree, yeah. But do you guys feel like he kind of complains a lot?
Who's this again, sorry?
Zelensky, you know, the president of Ukraine.
Oh.
Because
you know the media do him so wrong. I was in a gym the other day and they had like a picture. They were talking about him and the Russian guy or someone anyway. And they just had like very rude pictures of them up. But like, you know, like, say like they were talking and his face was like stuck. And that's the picture they used. On BBC, and I said, you can't even use like a professional picture.
And he was an actor as well. He could have gone to his acting days.
It was so, like, it was, because I thought he was on camera, on Zoom, and he was frozen.
Okay.
I said, no, because it was a side by side. I said, no, this is the picture they've chosen to use for this man.
Maybe, you know, maybe he feels like people are disrespecting him and his country, to be fair.
BBC never are. Actually, let me not even say that. Sorry, joking. LOL. Allegedly.
Well, this is the recent situation, right? So NATO states have said Ukraine can join the military alliance, right, when allies agree and the conditions are met, after President Zelensky criticized the absurd delay to accession. So basically, NATO said that it recognized the need to move faster, but will not be drawn on a time frame. Earlier, Mr. Zelensky said there seems to be no readiness to invite Ukraine to NATO or to make it a member. He is now, like we spoke about yesterday, in the Lithuanian capital, Vilnius, where the summit is currently happening. And Kiev accepts it cannot join NATO while it's at war with Russia, but wants to join as soon as possible after the fighting ends. But Mr. Zelensky, tweeting before Mr. Stoltenberg's comments, said that the lack of an agreed time frame meant that his country's eventual membership could become a bargaining chip. He also said that a window of opportunity is being left to bargain Ukraine's membership in NATO in negotiations with Russia. Uncertainty is weakness. At NATO, they might not have said when and how Ukraine might join the alliance, but diplomats emphasized that they had set out a clearer path to membership, and the applications process had been shortened significantly. So in my mind, again, I understand the frustration, right? But in my mind, I'm hearing them say, you will join. He's still talking about, we want to join right now, even though you know you can't join during the war. Like, what else do you want them to do? It's not like, I don't think they're holding you back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't understand the entire situation. I don't know. But anyway, next headline. Jeremy Hunt has told ministers there will be no extra money to give millions of public sector workers an average 6% pay rise, potentially leaving departments facing a difficult choice between raising salaries or cutting frontline services. This article comes from The Guardian, and pretty much they were saying that they understand that the Chancellor has ruled out providing a further cash injection beyond what is already budgeted if Rishi Sunak decides to implement the recommendations of independent pay review bodies, which are expected as soon as Thursday, tomorrow. Government sources said that the decision over whether to back the proposal for no more funding would only be made once the Prime Minister comes back from the NATO summit in Lithuania tonight, and after he had also gone over the figures as well. So cabinet ministers have been urging Sunak to agree to adopt the recommendations against the backdrop of the rising cost of living and amid concerns that public sector strikes could continue in the run-up to the next general election. But senior Tories are concerned that they will have to cut frontline services across education, across health and policing if they're expected to fund the estimated £5 billion difference between the budgeted increases of 3.5% and the pay review body recommendations. However, the Treasury insider said the salary proposals for 2023 to 2024, which sources said range between 5% and 6.5%, could fuel further inflation and even set off a wage price spiral, where increasing disposable income raises demand for goods. So similar to what we were kind of talking about yesterday with the whole wage increases and stuff. And the last headline, trigger warning here, this is kind of like an update of what we were talking about yesterday, the whole thing with this BBC presenter. And apparently, a young person, again, trigger warning, guys, a young person has told BBC News, right, that they felt threatened by the BBC presenter at the centre of a row over payment for sexually explicit photos. The individual in their early 20s was first contacted anonymously by the male presenter on a dating app. They said that they were put under pressure to meet up, but they never did. And when the young person hinted online that they might name the presenter, they were sent abusive, expletive-filled messages. Speaking to the BBC News, this same young person, who has no connection to the person at the centre of the Sun story about the payment for photos, said that they had been scared by the power that the presenter held. They said the threats made in the messages, which have been seen and verified by BBC News, by the way, had frightened them and they remained scared. The new allegations of menacing and bullying behaviour by the high-profile presenter raised fresh concerns about his conduct. And BBC News have contacted the presenter directly and via his lawyer, but they've received no response to the latest allegations, right? After the two had first connected on the dating app, the conversation moved to other platforms. At this stage, the presenter revealed his identity and told the young person not to tell anyone. Later, the young person alluded online to having contact with the BBC presenter and implied that they would name him at some point. The presenter reacted by sending a number of threatening messages, and again, BBC News have been able to verify the messages were sent from the phone number that belongs to that presenter. So it's not like they've kind of made it up or whatever. The young person's online post has also been seen by BBC News, and while the individual has spoken to BBC News, they have not made a complaint to the BBC Corporate Investigations Unit, which is looking into these allegations. So, yeah, that's basically a bit of an update on that situation. But that's it for the headlines.
Thank you. Let's get into what you say in topic of the day.
All right. So today's topic of the day, right? Again, like I've said before, when we talk about these particular topics, we're not doing this to bash anybody. We're just literally just having a conversation in it, and seeing how. Because I want us to kind of approach it from a different angle, and this is why I was basically saying, you know what? Does this person actually deserve to win? And that also aside, like when it comes to people trying to fight for their particular agenda, right? Something that they really believe in. How can us as a society accommodate that? You know what I'm saying? If we obviously we decide to, but how can we genuinely accommodate it without maybe losing certain things for the rest of the people, but also giving them something as well, right? But I want us to start off here. And this is basically, you used to send this yesterday, and this is basically about a Miss Netherlands contest, right? That happened recently. Brent, I've sent you a link so you can just show, I guess, some of the pictures of the contestants, right? And basically, the new Miss Netherlands, crowned on Saturday, is a transgender model named Ricky Valerie Collet, right? The same person wants to now go on to become, compete in the Miss Universe pageant, right? Which is now owned by a transgender Thai business, by the way. But anyway. And
Oh, serious?
what?
The pageant is owned by...
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the Miss Universe one. So the one that she's won this one, and then she was now going to go on to the Miss Universe, and the Miss Universe one is owned by a transgender Thai business mogul called Annie. I can't even pronounce the
I didn't know that
surname.
an individual owns Miss Universe.
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, that's basically where we're starting right now. So I guess the initial question is, right, we already know that in some things in life, right, people will kind of allow certain people to kind of win certain competitions, to maybe shed a kind of a spotlight on their plight to kind of help. Again, I'm not trying to disrespect nobody, but it's kind of like with the Eurovision contest, right? Everyone kind of believed the UK should have won last year.
Okay.
But they gave it to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because of the war,
Yeah.
right? So, like, in this situation here, do you feel like this is another one of those situations where, because of the rights that transgender people, LGBTQ plus, are fighting for, maybe they've kind of made concessions and given her the title?
Probably so, to be fair. If you're looking at okay, cool. Based on beauty standards, obviously we can't see all the contestants properly, but forget that she's a transgender woman for a second. Just based on pure aesthetics, do you feel like she was handed this as a, you know?
She looks nice here.
In the green thing.
Yeah, man.
Because of yeah, man. Like that.
Yeah, man.
They're bulge.
But this one here, this one here, nah, man.
No, it's not bulge.
Oh, I don't know. I was checking to see if it was, but it looks like, right?
It does look like a bulge.
But maybe she hasn't done the whole snip.
Yeah, probably not.
But look. She looks good hair too, innit? She looks lovely here.
She looks dandy.
Dandy.
No, Caitlin? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no Caitlin at all.
But yeah, man. You know.
No, but the way I see this is the way I see sports, innit?
Okay.
It's like, well, to be fair, it might be different, to be fair, because with sports, for example, a transgender woman probably, well, most probably does have an unfair advantage in regards to certain physical attributes, you know, strength, speed, etc., etc. In this, though, one would believe that she's at a disadvantage competing against women who are born women. So for her to win, I think it's a question. I think it's a question of is it? I don't know. Is it? I'm trying to ascertain what because I believe she's at a disadvantage, but she still won. So what was it?
To be fair though, with this competition, remember they asked him bare different questions, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's based on a few things. Yeah,
exactly. So maybe everything else was 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And maybe the facial and everything was maybe a 4 or something, but everything else may have been that amazing. I don't know.
All right, I think the first question probably should be: do you feel like a transgender woman should compete in a pageant like this with women who were born women, or do you think they should be separated?
2 things, yeah. I think they should be separated, but the second thing is, it's a good question because, like you said earlier, just now, you would think they'll be at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So it's like if you compete, we might as well allow you because it's not like you're gonna interrupt anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you get in situations where they kind of hand it to them, I'm not saying that they have hair, but if they have, then it defeats the purpose. Might just have your own category. And I think they should, because at the end of the day, what type of message are we kind of sending to the other women if we are saying that men are better women? Sorry, transgender women are better women than women. Like I understand us trying to make the transgender women feel like what they identify as.
Yeah.
But I think my issue in all of this is, are we considering how the women are feeling? Like, because I feel like things are being taken from them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we can add to the transgender women without taking from the women, then okay, beautiful. But yeah, man.
What are they marked on? Do we have the actual
The
things
different
that
categories?
Yeah, the different categories.
Okay, so let me read this here while I think Brent's looking. Something to consider. Plenty of women. Okay, this person's saying something. Something to consider. Plenty of women, myself included, aren't fans of beauty pageants. I find them degrading at best, dangerous at worst. Okay, so this is somebody else talking. Yeah, I'm not even too sure.
I'm trying to think. Have I seen a pageant before? I know they ask them about themselves, and I think there's a lot of philanthropy involved, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. And what would they change in the world?
Yeah,
the world peace type
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So she might have won based on the answers she gave. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a difficult one to really wrap my head around. To be fair.
Who is it that's complaining that she won
Some of the women.
in the pageant?
So in the pageant, people are not saying in the pageant. People are saying you can tell from their faces that they was thinking this doesn't make no sense. Like, how is it that we've lost to
Yeah, but that happens with all pageants, though.
Not really. So sometimes, because at those other pageants, you kind of, again, I'm kind of speaking for them here, so I don't really know. But I feel like they kind of see each other as proper competition. Like, everyone looks a certain level.
Nah, I wouldn't
You don't
agree
think
with
so?
that. Nah, because when you compete with people, essentially you want to win because you believe you're the best there.
Yeah.
So you would never see anybody else as the same as you because you believe that you're the best there and you should have won. So in pageants, that's how they all think, because they feel like they should have been the ones to win. Like, it's a whole, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a whole, what's the word? Not stereotype, but it's kind of like a known thing that with pageants, it can be like bitchy and because everyone wants to win. So I don't think, like, who is it? The people in the pageant that were complaining, or is it people in the audience that are complaining because of the faces of the people in the pageant?
It's a combination. Like, I'll read something from you. So this is from the Independent Women's Voice Organization, right? They issued a statement basically decrying the new Miss Netherlands. They said, "This is nothing to celebrate. This is a slap in the face to every single woman who competed against this biological male in the competition designed specifically for women." You know what I'm saying? So that's somebody from an organization speaking out now.
I feel like she won because she was meant to win. I don't feel like her winning was anything that was like fixed or anything like that. I feel like she won because she was meant to win. If based off people's mindset of she was a man, she shouldn't have won, then she wouldn't have won. Like, that would have been her disadvantage. So she won because she was meant to win.
As in, you feel like she excelled in all the categories.
She would have to win.
Yeah.
That's how pageants generally are. That's how
Wait,
it
let me
generally
go, please.
works.
Can you put that up? Put that on the screen, please.
Can you send me the?
Yeah. Because basically, the picture I'm going to send Brent is the woman that came second place.
Okay.
Just so we can do a comparison. Yeah, I just sent it to you. What's up?
Thanks.
I think whilst Brent's doing that, it's very difficult, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like I don't know how to even phrase it, but I get what you're saying, Esther, right? obviously, I think in the ideal world, you would hope that at least they're not trying to rob these women of this, right? But if the competition is specifically for women, and then you've got somebody who's a biological male, yes, identifies as a woman. And by the way, just to add a bit more context, it's not like this is somebody who's just who's not serious about this. I think they started identifying since there was like 11, right?
Exactly. So, by society standards, a woman.
Yeah, I mean, but not biologically woman. Right?
Not biological woman, but she's a woman now.
Yeah,
And the competition is for women now. The competition is not for biological women. The competition is for women.
Yes.
And
but when the competition was made, I don't think anyone had in mind.
Yeah, well, we lived in we can't compare what we live in today to back in the day when competition was made. There's a lot of things that were made with different things in mind. Black people were slaves back then. So can we not have black people in power now? Because when they constructed the parliaments in this country, they weren't expecting black people to be there. We can't compare the society we live in now to when the intention of when something was created. It's very different. Yeah, because by that standard, nothing in society will be running the way it is. Nothing will be happening. We wouldn't be here by that standard. So we can't do it. We can't have that standard in this scenario and then not have it in life itself.
But then that means you're effectively saying that anything is subject to change according to how society sees it.
Because things change every day.
Yeah, but then wouldn't you
I'm not saying that society's saying that, because society consistently changes stuff.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. But I mean, more so like, then why would you have categories for anything? Because if something can just change whenever society deems it right to change it, right? Like, surely the categories would change with the change. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, there's no point in having categories or competitions.
Maybe I'm missing something. Personally, this is above me. I don't see anything with this. It's a competition for women and a woman won. And so that's really what's happened.
Okay.
I think, you know what it is, without watching this whole pageant and seeing what answers everyone gave and how everyone performed, to be able to come to our own conclusion if we feel like this was handed to her or she won, genuinely, it's hard to say, innit? Just based off that picture, right?
I'm going to check bar to see what the categories were. Because the picture that you asked me to put up, right? If it was just running a beauty, that particular segment of the competition, I'm sure she didn't look like that. Because
that picture was unfair.
She was a bit clapped.
The second place woman, that's a professional photo.
Yeah,
and that's
that one was live.
Yeah.
So I know what this person's trying to do, obviously.
Yeah, the person deliberately put those pictures together.
Yeah, but I think you can't even judge anything based off that, because beauty pageants, believe it or not, are not just about beauty.
Because she's wavy hair. She can get it hair in it.
From you.
She looks lovely hair. So if this was compared to the
other picture,
the other picture, then it's more of a fair thing. But this is where they grabbed the picture from.
Yeah,
where she was smiling on stage, happy, jubilant.
I think one of the the categories. Yeah, I'm kind of. This might be for a slightly different pageant, but they're saying is personality, beauty, articulation, quality, substance, creativity, and presentation.
I think she can probably win on all those categories. For me, it's just a question of should transgender women and vice versa be allowed to compete in any competition, whether it be beauty or sports or whatever, with people who are born that gender. That's, for me, that's what it is.
Do you think it's a bit
different? It had 5 categories, by the way.
Okay, cool.
First, let me just put it up. So.
Let's read them.
Boom. All right, first one was the contestants had to walk the runway in swimsuits.
Okay.
Yeah.
In
swimsuits. Yeah. The second one was evening gown.
Okay.
That to walk the runway in evening gown. Third one was talent. They performed the talent such as singing, dancing, or playing an instrument.
Yeah.
Interview was with the fourth. I don't know what they were talking about. I got a clue, but I'll click that link afterwards.
Yeah.
And charity. The contestants spoke about their charity work and why it was important to them. So 100%. Yeah. She could have clapped all of them.
Yeah, she could have. But my question is this. Is it fair then for transgender women to compete in sports with women who are born women? Is it fair then?
That's the main.
So if, for example,
isn't it?
for those who feel like this is okay, is it also okay for them to compete in sports? Are we picking and choosing what they're competing in, or is it across the board?
See, this is the thing, right? Me personally, across the board, I don't believe that there should be mixing at all, right? But my question would be, is it fair to do it across the board? Only because in sports, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be having those trans women competing with men's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Boxers. But at the same time, in competition like this,
So it's more plausible when these type of competitions. So
yeah,
it's fine.
I don't think it's fine. I personally don't think it's fine.
Yeah.
But because the competition doesn't require anything physical, it's just down to hormones changing and dressing up and things of that nature, and obviously articulating yourself and this, whatever it may be. There's less to thingy, you know. But at the same time, I don't know, man. Maybe it should just be an across the board thing, just to make it easy. Like trans women have their own categories, trans men have their own categories.
Yeah.
And this boils down to some people just not seeing them as women.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah. I wonder how the other contestants feel as well.
And I think this is what like people are not considering. And I think this is the difficulty of these type of conversations, because it's like, yes, we want to make include the trans women and all that type of good stuff, right? But at what cost?
You mean that it's eroding the rights and freedom of women,
and
OG women?
Yeah, and even feelings and emotions of those OG women.
You care about the feelings and emotions?
No, of course I do, because because they're women. They're women, right? Up there competing. They spend their lives doing whatever they're doing to try to be the next Miss Netherlands and Miss Universe, Miss World. And then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wish you care about their feelings and emotions and other topics, bro. Good morning, Stacey.
Morning.
Right, Stacey?
Good. How are you? You just said something just now as I hit call, where you were saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that you feel like there should be more concern for the biological, if that's the politically correct way to say it, biological women who are competing against these trans women. And I just want to understand what the concern is for, because this kind of just reminds me, and I brought it up in the chat, like I've argued this several times with friends, where people say you have to give people time or be considerate of the party who is having to embrace change. But it's like, what if we said that about racism? Like, what if we told white people, like, we have to think about white when we're integrating or when we're ending segregation? Like, what does that even mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's completely different though. 100%.
But it's not.
Earlier, you can't bring in an idea for one side of things when it actually relates to other sides of things as well. It doesn't work that way. That is a perfect example, Stacey. Literally.
I'll tell you why.
I don't. That's why I'm asking you. Like, what is the concern for the other women? Like, you said a few minutes ago. Correct me if I'm wrong again. Like, for sports, you're saying should it be the same across the board, but you haven't identified what in this beauty pageant it gives trans women a comparative advantage to biological women, to where your argument would be valid that there should be separation. Like, I don't get what's necessary here. Like, if it is truly a competition of beauty, dressing up, displaying a talent, and answering questions, unless the talent is a sport where there is an actual advantage that a trans woman would have based on biology, what's the argument?
So, okay, this might seem like a silly question, right? Let's just say there was no title on this particular thing. Let's just say it was called Universe. Because, you know, some trans don't like the term Miss, right? So we're not even going to say Miss.
But it's a women's
is?
competition.
Like I said earlier, right? There's no, in my opinion, there's no advantage, right? It might just be like an affirmative action type of vibe, innit? Like trying to be inclusive. So her advantage might be that she's going to win because she's transgender and they want to see more inclusive. That might be the only advantage she might have. Apart from that, for me, there's no advantages.
Yeah, I don't think there's advantage. I think this is just the easiest thing for someone who's losing to target. Unless we watch, like you said, we were to watch the playback of the actual competition and see that there are actually points in which other candidates were stronger and they were giving her points for said possible affirmative action, which I don't think is the truth here. But no.
But
like,
the thing is,
I think
in this scenario, it could be though. I'm not saying it is, but for this organization who runs this pageant to seem more inclusive to the way the world is moving, right? Again, I'm not saying this is the case, but giving her the title because we want to show that we are standing behind a certain community, we are inclusive, we're not discriminating, so we're going to give a transgender woman the title. That could be a plausible argument as well.
Wouldn't the same thing be done just in letting her compete? Like, isn't that forcing the optic? Like, they could get the same headlines by just allowing her to compete.
True, and that's why I wish I actually watched it to see whether or not, I believe that she should have won based on the other categories. It's hard to determine just based off a picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where when people make it a discussion or like there is discourse about it, the problem really is just people not willing to accept that these spaces are being open to women, period, of different identifications. I don't know if that's the correct term, but I think there's going to be resistance to that change naturally. But at the end of the day, the only thing being challenged at the end, what it really boils down to is people challenging whether they feel like these women are women. And to me, that's just not a question. I think it's up to the Miss Universe organization to determine what makes a candidate eligible. This is a debate that also happens here in America with sororities and fraternities. It's a really big deal in the Black sorority and fraternity game. Like, really, really, really bad, because obviously now we're in a society where we do have, trans men. Can they join fraternities? Fraternities are like, immediately no. We know Black people and our long history of homophobia. But other sororities, a lot of our sororities are saying, well, at least mine, I cannot speak for my organization rule wise, but in my experience, in my organization, for anyone who is interested in applying, you have to identify as a woman at the time of your application in order to be granted access. You don't necessarily have to be born as one. A lot of people are resistant to that. Again, history of homophobia, but I think it boils down to the same thing here with Miss Universe. It's up to the organization who's planning these things to determine what they categorize as women in this case, and who are we to fight it? What is the discourse if the rules have been set and they qualify? That's my piece.
Stacey,
before you answer the question,
yeah.
Stacey, do you think it's always down to homophobia?
I think so, because what would be the resistance here if not that?
Interesting. Do you think it's always?
Or maybe it's not. It's not. Is it not homophobia in this case?
It is
transphobia.
You've decided that all across
would
the
it
board,
be transphobia?
Anybody who has a problem with it, it's down to homophobia.
Can I explain why I think it's transphobia? I'm also correcting my verbiage here. It's not homophobia, it's transphobia, because it's challenging. Your reason for being resistant to it is because you are grappling with categorizing this person as a woman.
So,
am I wrong?
No, that makes sense.
So wait a minute. So because some people are grappling with what they deem is scientific fact, it must be transphobia.
Fantastic.
But that's quite
what
literally what it is.
Interested.
You don't.
Whether we
might not
agree
wanna
with the
say
word or
it
not,
that doesn't make it not that.
The definition is quite literally the definition.
Literally, that's literally the definition.
What is transphobia, Stacey?
To have a phobia for transgender people.
What do you mean phobia?
Yeah, the transphobia.
exactly.
What, are you scared of them? What?
You guys mean for real?
Are we being intentionally obtuse
no,
here?
I'm
asking
a
a question,
I'm just
Stacey.
asking a question.
Let's look up what transphobia means, because I unfortunately don't have Webster ingrained in my head.
All right. Well,
transphobia definition.
Whilst you're looking, shall I read it? Because I've got it up.
I have it right here.
Okay, cool.
The dislike or of strong prejudice against transgender people.
You don't have to be scared of them. It's just a dislike.
So
It's, the prejudice here would be key for this particular.
So if somebody doesn't think,
example.
So if somebody doesn't consider or think a trans woman is a woman, Is that transphobic?
No.
Okay.
It's in the application of, in this particular instance, the reason why you don't think that they are qualified to compete is because you don't identify them as a woman, which is transphobic. You're establishing a prejudice because you, in your mind, do not categorize that as that, and you're projecting it.
No, Stacey, you literally said the same thing in a nicer way, like a more words. That's what you've done. Like, watch this. If somebody doesn't consider trans woman A as a woman, right, then they won't think they should compete with other women. Because that person doesn't think they should compete with other women, you're now saying they're transphobic.
I'm saying they're transphobic specifically, but in the okay. I see why
you know what I'm saying, because the application of that. Let me click. Go on.
Yes. Okay, if you do not think someone is, and this is my opinion, if you do not agree that somebody is a woman because they are trans, that's your own business. But in the example that we're talking about here, where you're saying that they should not be able to compete by your measurement, that they are not a woman, that is projecting transphobia, because you are projecting a prejudice based on your views. If the organization says they are eligible to compete, they meet all the eligibility requirements, and they outline what it means to be a woman by their rules. When you are not in agreement of that, you are projecting a prejudice. Does that make sense?
I mean, what you're saying makes perfect sense. Like, I understand like the words you're saying, but in terms of the correlation.
So we're not saying the same thing. I just want to be clear.
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely not saying the same thing. But what I'm basically saying that you're like. It's not right though, because at the end of the day, you could say that about anything. Like,
what's not right?
Because basically what you're trying to say is people's thoughts have no application or shouldn't have application. To me, it's very simple. If I'm saying this particular person isn't, according to my understanding, according to whatever it may be, right? If this person isn't a real man or isn't a woman, right? To me, they shouldn't compete with other people.
Yeah.
That's what my thinking like the application of my thinking. Now, because of what my thinking means in real practical terms, because we're human beings, right? I'm now being called, or this person is being called, transphobic.
We can do that with racism as well, though. That's the thing, though.
And
because it can be a white person who also doesn't, regardless of whatever society is saying, think that black people are equal to you and the humans as well, the way you're human. But they're like, no, I don't think that they are. Would you think they're racist, or you don't think that they're racist?
I don't think the two.
I just asked you a similar question. Do you think they're racist? Yes or no?
I understand, but I don't think the two are the same.
I'm not asking to measure things. I'm just asking, do you think that's racist or not?
Do I think a white person who doesn't think black people are equal to them is racist?
Yes,
of course.
Okay, and that's the same thing with the gender thing.
It's not the same though.
Okay, but can I even quickly end the comparison?
It's literally the same.
Can I even quickly refute this comparison?
Yeah.
Can we just really boil it down to grammar? Black is an adjective to person. They are a person, period. Like, trans is an adjective to woman. They are a woman, period. Like, what are we not understanding here? Like, that's what I'm asking.
Sorry,
what is the debate?
By me again? What did you say?
I said black is an adjective to person. They are a person. Trans is an adjective to women. They are a woman.
I don't know what you've done there.
What is the argument here?
I don't know what you've done there. I need to understand.
You know them cups. You know when you use them cups.
Yeah, with the balls inside.
That's what's happening.
I need to understand what have you done there? What have you done there?
I'm joking. She's actually on you guys' side with that in terms of the comparison.
All right. So, Stacey, explain it again to Brent, please.
I said black is an adjective to person. In the example that Esther just gave, if a white person doesn't see a black person as equal, they are a person. They're just black. We're quite literally people. In the case of trans, they are women. Trans is an adjective to woman. That does not negate the fact
Do you get it?
that they are a woman.
Do you get it now?
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
No. Basically, a black person, is a person, but they're just black, right? A trans person, like, the person's already exists. A black person is just a version of a what's it called? Of a person. And she's saying that when it comes to trans women, the reason why she doesn't agree with my comparison is because a trans woman is an adjective to women, not to people in general. Do you get it? No? You still don't get it, Steve.
Stacey, quick question, right? Is your stance, would your stance be the same if this was sports?
No. And there are reasons for that.
So this is solely based on the fact that the trans woman hasn't got an advantage in this scenario.
This is not because we're challenging whether that person is a woman. It's because they are a trans woman.
Yeah.
They have biological, scientifically proven advantages that gives them the upper hand in that particular round.
All right. So the thing is, I'm not even opposed
Which
to
is why I
this.
said.
But the question is, would you be transphobic then for not wanting a trans woman to compete in sports?
No.
Why is that?
Because the measure of what is being competing.
I don't get it.
Sorry, I'm not having a
No, I'm not even in you lot's beef. I'm just trying to say, I'm just trying to ascertain this. Because I feel like the biggest variable here is that everyone feels, well, not sure everyone feels that the woman who won, trans woman who won, wasn't at an advantage, so it's okay. But if this was sports, it wouldn't be okay. So why isn't that person transphobic too then?
Because sports, there's a biological advantage.
But some people aren't against it.
Are we really?
So if there's two opposed, because some people aren't against trans women competing in sports. So if there are,
that's their own. But
what I'm saying is, if there's two sides, then the other side has to be, by your definition, transphobic, regardless of this advantage thing. Regardless of the advantage thing. That's how it seems to me.
No, they're not this. They're not the same.
How come it's easy for you to say it's not the same when it's a fair question that's been asked to you? How come you pick and choose when to lean into further explaining how it is the same or it isn't the same? But this particular example that is put to you, you're like, nah, come on, why are you even asking the question? It should be obvious it isn't the same.
Because
Isn't the same here, trans is still a woman, still an adjective. Sorry, trans is an adjective to a woman, still applicable here? Is she still not a woman?
Yeah, because you're picking and choosing what you want to back based on your parameters of, okay, cool, in sports there's an advantage, but in the pageant there isn't. So you can't.
No,
you can't spew. Go on.
When I gave my example of how transphobia was applied to the pageant conversation, did I not say the prejudice comes when Miss Universe identifies what woman is based on their rules, and because you don't agree, you are projecting a prejudice despite what their rules are?
You did say that.
Right? In sports, if the league says, by our rules, you have to be a born woman to compete in this category, that is what the rule is.
Wait.
So there's no point.
I ain't talking about but we're not talking about what the rules are. I'm talking about how you feel about it, not about what the rules are.
But that's how I explained it. You asked me when I explained
could go against the rules. So it's not about what the organization has put in place. How do you feel about it?
That's what she was saying earlier.
But that's what I. Am I not explaining how I feel when I gave my?
I don't understand.
I'm not in you lot's beef.
I'm not beefing.
I'm smiling.
No one's beefing. I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's making sense. I'm not understanding why it's not translating over the phone.
Yeah.
To the other genders. I don't get it.
Stacey, I want to understand. No, Esther understands everything you're saying, but I would like to understand what you're saying. Based on where the conversation is now, it sounds as though you're saying you're running your argument off the back of the rules of whatever competition this particular gender comparison is ran in. So if the rules of the pageant says, all right, we allowed this particular entry, then cool. That's how it is you're forming your argument. But with the athletics, if they don't allow it, then you basically switch it up. Is that correct?
Say that one more time. I was reading the comments. Sorry.
I guess what they're trying to say, I think what they want to know is your personal opinion on things outside of what's allowed in whatever sports or activities happening.
Okay, my opinion is I think I think it's case by case. I think now, because we live in a world where there are trans women and trans men everywhere, the eligibility should be determined on
But if
what
you
is
have a case
being.
by case, why can't everyone else have a case by case?
But you guys do have a case by case, because when I brought up the transgender and I brought up race, you said it's not equivalent.
It's not equivalent.
Exactly, and that's your case by case. So why can't she have a case by case when you guys have case by case as well?
No, she can have a case by case.
Exactly.
That's
So
what,
what's
that's
the
thing.
issue here? I don't get it.
There's no issue. We're just having a conversation.
So what's the question you're asking her then? If she can have a case by case.
I honestly perplexed as to what part is not clear. If you are using your opinion on what somebody, how do I say this? If you are projecting your opinion to project a prejudice, that is where you become transphobic, homophobic, etc.
Okay.
Point blank.
You know what it is? I think Go on.
My opinion, I'm now pivoting to my opinion. My opinion is, I think that whether or not trans women should be able to compete should be in these different, types of sports or events, should be dependent on what type of sporting event or event period we are talking about. In the case of a pageant, them being a trans person has no impact on their performance in said event. In sports, we would be literally intentionally obtuse to ignore the science behind why there is potentially an advantage for a trans person to compete in their identified sports.
Okay, Stacey, can I ask a quick question?
We know that men have an advantage over women scientifically, which is why men and women compete separately. So when someone becomes a trans woman, we cannot be blind to that science. We're going to respect, I'm going to respect that they are a trans woman, and I'm not going to treat them any differently. But in this particular realm, we cannot ignore science because of how you identify in this space.
I think it is a little bit.
Does that make sense?
Maybe this is what I'm reading into. It feels like your picking and choosing doesn't make you transphobic, but it feels like you're accusing other people picking and choosing as being transphobic. So if everyone can pick and choose, why aren't you transphobic, but you're labeling other people transphobic? If everyone's just picking and choosing based on their own parameters and all this other stuff in it. So, for example, if Jay-Z was identified as a woman next week and released an album, would it be fair for him to compete in a woman's category for rap?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. I'm just trying to understand your
and that's
mind.
why. And I remember that I started this my whole commentary when I first called by asking E-Man, what are the metrics that's making you question whether or not they're valid to participate in? Because E-Man's stance was he thinks they should all be separate. He thinks trans women should have their own category. And I asked, what is it that makes you think that is okay? Not from a place of me disagreeing with him, from a place of genuinely wanting to understand what's the reason for the separation.
All right. Can I ask a different question, please? Yeah. Because you mentioned before about obviously how the authorities who run a particular event, what their criteria is, right? If they said, you know what? If they said, two examples here. If they said, you know what? Based on the science, right? We've seen that men are more likely to be, their brains are bigger. So they're more likely to be more articulate, and this, that, and the third, right? And would you then say that this trans woman, right, is now at an unfair advantage, has an unfair advantage? No, you wouldn't,
because it's not a competition of how to articulate yourself. At the end of the day,
it's part of it.
The score that
it's part of it.
Not really, because the score that the judges get, you might be articulate, but it's still the score that the judges give you in that category is still based on their opinion of what it was that you said. It might not be that you executed what you said articulately, but they're touched by your story.
Okay, cool. All right.
That's not a competition of articulation.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's fine. Second thing is, if now the boxing, for example, in boxing now, they said, you know what, regardless of the science, we believe that we should be fair and we should open up this boxing thingy to trans women, everyone can kind of compete, because being a woman is being a woman regardless. Because at the end of the day, right, I'm pretty sure there's some women who are stronger than you, Stacey, right?
Yeah.
All right, and obviously some who are weaker than you. right? And you all have different levels of estrogen in your bodies, different hormones, different bone densities, but you all have the XX chromosome. Am I right in saying that? Right? So if they said, you know what, at the end of the day, there are probably some men out there who have XY chromosome, but have weaker bone density, right? And also have more estrogen than the average man, probably around the same levels as women, right? But they have the XY chromosome. And they said, you know what, there's enough of these people, this phenomenon around, right? Let's just open it up to just women's boxing and men's boxing as it is currently. Would you still feel like if I was to come out and say, no, I don't think they should compete together, I'm transphobic?
You're asking me if I would feel like, one more time, the last part?
Would it be transphobic for me in that situation to say, you know, I don't think the trans women should compete with the women? Even though the boxing authorities, the boxing board are saying, you know what, it's fine, let them compete.
No, because your opinion is based on science. But it's not up to you, so.
Yeah, but I gave an example of, for example, the science now being in a situation where you've got men who have XY chromosome, yes, but the advantages, that physical advantages that men typically have, this man does not, this XY chromosome holder doesn't have.
Oh, you're saying it doesn't apply in this situation?
In this situation.
Okay, then no, that's fine.
So
yeah, that's fine.
So basically, biological male.
I can also give some context here as to where I'm coming from when it comes to the sports thing, and this could just be me thinking of one particular case, because I think the most famous case where this became a question was like in track and field. I think I don't remember the name of the athlete that this became a debate about, but like basically scientifically or whatever. I don't have sources because I don't remember exactly where I pulled this from, but it was a conversation and it was something that was researched or whatever, that men tend to run faster than women, and there are attributes in track and field that give men an advantage over women. So I'm thinking of that particular sport. If there are sports where isn't too much, you know, say, I don't know, what's a sport that really doesn't have, you know, differences in men and women performance? I don't know, insert your own example there. If there are sports where there isn't much of a scientific advantage between men and women competitors, by all means, there's no reason for you to separate them based on the trans concept. Does that make sense?
If there's no physical advantage.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
What I don't like with this whole conversation is when people throw around transphobic, it shuts down the conversation because nobody wants to be attached to that particular slur. And in this particular room, we are asking legit, honest, sincere questions. And the fact that is we got to the part where is that we also found out that you pick and choose, but you don't want to hold that particular moniker, negative moniker as transphobic, is ridiculous.
I agree with you on that one, Brett. I think, you know, cancel culture has made it so that it's quite, because it's something that, you know, is a newer, it's not a newer concept, but it's a concept that is, you know, something that is newly okay to talk about. A lot of people have questions and they fear asking those questions that will really provide a lot of intel out of, you know, labels like that. And it's unfortunate, but I think sometimes it just challenges people to be just a little bit more creative and maybe talk a little bit more disclaimers and maybe, you know, add some sensitivity and consideration in the way they bring up questions. I think at the end of the day, you know, people are able to look past the labels if you try and be considerate of someone who, or actually see someone who is really trying to learn. But I agree with you.
Thank you.
I think that's what it is ultimately. I think if you're asking questions and it's laced with jokes and side remarks here and there, it's difficult for people not to see it as like it's difficult for people not to see your questions or your opinions laced with transphobia because you're making jokes and you're doing whatever you're doing. But if you're asking genuinely, and as Stacey was saying, then yeah. But I do think people get their back up when they throw the word, when you put the word out there, and then everything that you say from that point on, they don't want to listen because in their mind you've accused them of transphobia. Well, thank you, Stacey.
Also, somebody in the comments, real quick before I go, somebody in the comments was saying that I said I hate that, but I was the one who said it. To be clear, I wasn't calling Eman and Yusuf and everyone transphobic. I was just saying that projecting that is transphobic behavior. So sorry if that wasn't clear. But anyway,
Stacey, before you go, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Before you go, because I wanted to move on to this particular thing, right? Obviously, like you're saying, trans women are women, basically, right? I don't want to put words in your mouth. They are women, right? 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you feel like
whether we agree or not, that's what.
Yeah, exactly. But do you feel like certain terminology should change to accommodate these women, to make them feel more included in this women thing?
Like?
No, okay, I'll give you an example. So, for example, there's a charity that basically said, you know what, let's stop using the term vagina. Let's call it bonus hole.
Say again?
Bonus hole.
Yeah.
Bonus.
Bonus hole. Yeah. Right? Ben, don't be transparent. Don't laugh.
No, I'm sorry. That's a
It's
stupid.
the first time I've heard it. It's
Oh,
the
okay.
first time.
Bonus
Maybe
hole.
next year I'll be used to hearing it. So
No, but that's not even a scientific word.
I said bonus.
BFFR.
I'm genuinely asking this question though. Like, Ben, stop. Please don't laugh away from the mic.
No, but question: wouldn't a way to make trans women feel more inclusive just to call them women then,
Yeah, but
as opposed to saying trans women? Just call them women.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Bonus hole. That sounds like a
I
joke.
think the adjectives, those things only really come in clutch when necessary. Someone else in the comments was like, I think trans women should be trans women and there shouldn't be anything wrong with owning that title. I agree with you to an extent, but like, there are certain times where you do have to, acknowledge that, we consider them women, they are women, but in certain situations, there is a difference here. There's nothing wrong in acknowledging that, truly. But a bonus hole, come on now, y'all.
But okay, but ain't you, again, I'm not trying to be silly here, right? I obviously want to move on, but aren't you somewhat being transphobic by not acknowledging the whole, you know what I mean? Like, if they want a bonus hole, then let's give it to them.
Stacey, question. It's kind of a different angle, but are you single? Out of curiosity.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's just say you were actively dating, yeah? And whenever you came across a man and you were talking about, his dating situation, he was dating a trans woman, and it just kept happening to you. Every time you talk to a man, dating a trans woman. How do you feel about that? So you were basically in like dating purgatory, and so many men that you knew were dating trans women.
Wait, what? I'm talking to men who are trans women, so I'm talking to
you're
women?
talking
Confusion.
to you're dating. You're in a dating scene, and whenever you're talking to a guy, he's in a relationship with a trans woman. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right. The same way a lot of black women have an issue with black men dating white women. Right, you're taking our men away from us. That whole rhetoric, innit? Would you feel some type of way if a lot of heterosexual men, or just a lot of black men that you're interested in, were dating trans women?
No. What's my own with what they're interested in?
No. It's not about. It's about basically your dating pool getting smaller. Basically, it's not about their interest. It's about your dating. Yeah, it's about your dating pool getting smaller. So.
If all the black men are going to
so whenever you find a man you're interested in, and you're trying to get your dating on, they're dating a trans woman. Would you feel some type of way about that? As in, your dating pool is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
No.
Okay.
I'm just being honest. I'm interested in men who are interested in me.
That's the honest answer, then fair enough. Because I know black women who have an issue with black men dating white women. Right? So,
but
it's plausible for me to believe that some women will have issues with black men dating trans women. It's plausible for me to believe that.
Same thing.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong, but there are different reasons why people have their issues with stuff like that. It's not all a monolith, but in my story, it's not that.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't look at it.
Being inquisitive.
It would probably something that I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Why is that all the men that I've, maybe my type likes that type? Cool. But like, it's not going to be something that I'm just like, damn, they're still in them all. Like, no.
Okay.
Well, we got more to pick from now. Men are rubbing their hands.
Fair enough. That's true.
Thank you very much for the call,
That's
Stacey.
That's true.
Thanks,
Wow.
Stacey.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, but before we wrap up, I just wanted to mention, just in case the people don't know about this bonus whole thing, right? So, just so you know, it's this news. So, basically, the Daily Mail put this out first, I believe, right? And the charity pretty much had to come out and clarify it. So the Daily Mail quoted the LGBT Alliance's Bev Jackson as saying that such language intentionally dehumanizes women by calling the parts vaginas, right?
Yeah.
That after similar coverage in the Times, the Telegraph, and even on GB News and all that type of stuff, right? There was loads of complaints. So this person's now come out, Joe's Cervical Trust, which is this charity, yeah, and they've made it clear that its guidance was always specific to trans men and non-binary people. That's what they're saying.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, yeah, just very quickly. I wanted to, Matthew.
Cool. Good morning,
Hey,
Matthew.
Matthew.
Yeah. So obviously this started from the whole pageant thing, which generally speaking with that, I think I agree with Yus and Esther. But just on the conversation you just had with Stacey, I very quickly just wanted to say, obviously there was a discussion about sports and whether it will be transphobic to exclude or include based on like what gender they are or whatever. But like so she's saying it wouldn't be transphobic based on the sports example because of science and whatever. But I did see a clip the other day, apparently it's from a TV show, where Lance Armstrong was basically advocating that thing of like, if you're trans, let's say you're a trans woman, there should be another category for you or another league, whatever, so that you can compete and like you can be celebrated. And Tinashe was another person on this show and basically got onto him, and all the other contestants, whatever, got onto him basically saying that was like transphobic and that was excluding, or otherizing is the word that they use, trans women basically, and being like, basically trans women should be allowed to be in women's sports and should be included as such, which, doesn't necessarily align with like whatever the science is, do you know what I mean? So I don't know. For me, it's complicated. I don't understand how. I generally think that the science there must be some like way that the science makes sense here, but apparently that could be seen as transphobic and otherizing. So yeah, just wanted to bring that up.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Matthew.
thank you very much,
you.
Matthew, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Take care.
Yeah. You know what the thing is, yeah? I think another thing just to mention is, and I'm not, obviously Esther and Stacey didn't do this, right? Because you guys are obviously acknowledging, you guys are saying they're women, but you are basically saying they're trans women. So there is a difference, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I think the issue is where people act like they are just, see, but this is the weird thing. It's like they're women, but they're not women because they're trans women, but yet they are women. You know what I'm saying? And this is why there was this conversation online, yeah, where basically this charity that I'm talking about, Joe's Cervical Trust, they were talking about this thing about the question of who can have a cervix and all that type of stuff. Now, obviously, I always thought only women have cervixes and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
But this person said, basically, yeah, in fact, the Labour MP, Emily Thornberry, recently shut down the question on Twitter saying, "My cousin is a trans man. I presume he has a cervix. I haven't asked. It's none of my business."
That's funny.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know what people have anymore now, basically, because
Because if it's a trans man, then that's a man that was a woman, so he will have a cervix.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's why. That's what she meant.
Okay.
So, yeah. So when people say, it's just them. It's just, I guess it's like a smart, cheeky response where it's like, no, not just women have cervixes, because obviously they're women, they're men, trans men, who will have cervixes because they were biological women at one point.
Right.
I just think conversations like this, it's above me. It has nothing. It has nothing to do with me because it's not my reality. It's nothing. It's not that. I believe what I believe. When people believe what they believe, that's good for them. And I just don't take paracetamol for other people's headaches. That's how I just see all of this. So the pageant queens, if they're upset with it, then they need to be speaking to the organisation and sorting that out amongst themselves. But it's tricky for people who are not in that industry to be commenting on stuff that's going on in that industry when we don't have a clue how people win in the first place or who the last Miss Netherlands was. So when people come and now they care, God, that's interesting.
No, but it's not
You
that you
haven't
care
cared about
about.
anything else.
You don't care about the competition necessarily. You care about how it affects the women competing in society at large, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't see people have that same energy for other women's issues.
Yeah, but sometimes
So-
you don't know about those other women's issues. Like you know,
The ones they know
certain
about, they
things-
don't care about
Some
them.
things are put out there in the forefront.
The ones that they has been brought to their forefront, I'm not seeing them carry up pitchforks and having conversations about them so intently. Ever so.
I hear you.
Yeah, you don't care
It's
about
interesting.
the OG women's feelings.
Maybe. I definitely care about OG women's feelings. You know what I'm saying? Of course I do. I mean, to some degree. But it all depends, you know what I'm saying, on whatever the situation is. But I don't want us to go around in circles, but I personally just feel like this is where lines are going to get blurred. And people only recognize in 10 years' time, innit? In 10 years' time, when people are doing what they're doing and everyone is just doing what they're doing, I'll leave it like that, then we'll come back to this. Remember episode 29, was it? I don't even know, 297 or something? And then, yeah.
Let me know what day that conversation is. I'm going to take a day off.
I won't tell you.
I will leave.
Anyway, all right, man, cool. I think we've discussed this enough, man.
All right, let's get into our next headlines.
All right, so our next headline, basically, tests that assess newborn babies' health, right, are not effective for non-white children and should be replaced. This is according to the NHS Race and Health Observatory, right? In the UK, neonatal death rates among Black and Asian newborns are much higher than for white babies. A review of neonatal tests by Sheffield Hallam University, commissioned by the Race and Health Observatory, found that the APGAR score, used at birth to assess a newborn's health can give misleading results for Bame babies, right? Because it was developed for white European babies back in 1952. The tests involve assessing the baby's skin tone, the heart rate, reflexes, muscle tone, and breathing within a few minutes of birth. The review analysed about 200 studies and more than 80 policies about assessing newborn babies' health. Researchers also conducted interviews with 33 healthcare professionals and 24 parents. They found that some guidance on healthy newborn skin tone still refer to terms such as pink, blue, pale, or paler, with no reference to alternative descriptions for Black, Asian, and other skin types. The review also highlighted reliability concerns of 2 other neonatal assessments to detect cyanosis and jaundice as well. The fear is that health conditions in Bame babies could therefore be missed because these tests can miss signs of illness. Next headline, big trigger warning here. And this is basically about murder. And you know the whole Charles Manson cult? Yeah. So Leslie Van Houten, who was a former follower of the notorious cult leader Charles Manson, was released on parole after serving more than 5 decades of a life sentence for 2 brutal murders. Miss Van Houten, who's 73, was a 19-year-old member of the Manson family when she took part in the murder of a Los Angeles grocer and his wife in 1969. 5 previous bids for her parole were blocked by California's governors. That decision was later reversed by a state appeals court. A former homecoming queen, Ms. Van Houten, was the youngest Manson follower to be convicted of murder for her role in the death of the California grocer Leno LaBlanca and his wife Rosemary. During the killings, which took place just days after the murder of the actress Sharon Tate and 4 others, Ms. Van Houten held down Rosemary and LaBlanca while someone else stabbed her. She later also admitted that she stabbed the woman after she was dead. Ms. Van Houten's lawyer, Nancy Tretolt, told the Associated Press that she left the women's prison in California early on Tuesday morning. She's now likely to be on parole for 3 years and hopes to get a job soon. For those who don't know, Charles Manson was considered one of America's notorious cult leaders, directed his followers to commit 9 murders, and he hoped the killings would start a race war called the Helter Skelter. And this was after a famous song by the Beatles. He died in prison in 2017. And the last headline takes us to Kenya, where 3 senior managers from a Kenyan dairy company have been arrested over allegations of indecent assault after they forced a group of female employees to undress in order to find out which one of them was on their period. The incident, which happened last week at Brown's Food Company's dairy factory in Limuru, which is in central Kenya, followed 3 failed attempts by the managers. All three of whom were women, by the way. They wanted to find out who put a sanitary towel in the wrong bin. Anonymous reports of the incident emerged online early last week. On Thursday, activists demonstrated outside company offices. They demonstrated outside of company offices. They were sticking sanitary towels on the gates in protest at the humiliating treatment that these workers had faced. The company suspended the managers and issued a statement on Friday calling their actions a distressing unilateral decision and saying that it had launched investigations into the shocking incident. For those who don't know, Brown's is a woman-led business and it works hard to provide a working environment that's safe for all employees. Brown's has formal HR policies and systems in place, and this incident does not reflect the procedures of the company as a whole. This is what the company said anyway, you know what I'm saying? They also said the public is holding us accountable and we will continue to update you on the progress which is being made and the resolution to those who were affected. And that's pretty much it for the headlines. Time to pay them bills.
All right, let's get into the People's Journal.
All right, people, welcome to the People's Journal, where I give you the news from a economics point of view. Not much to talk about today. Just wanted to mention that there was a bit of breaking news, and the Bank of England has pretty much said that says that it expects the proportion of income that UK households spend on mortgage payments to remain below levels that were seen during the financial crisis. So they're basically saying, of course, everyone was kind of scared about certain things, but it's not to that threshold where it's like, okay, cool, we are like finished, basically. Its latest financial stability report declared that squeezed households were proven resilient in face of all these challenges posed by the living costs, the interest rate hikes, all them type of things there that have been put in place to kind of tackle high inflation. But it did warn that it will take some time for the impacts of the rate increases to kind of feed through and for things to kind of settle. But at the moment, they're pretty much saying mortgage payments remain below levels that were during the financial crisis, which I guess is a good thing. Second thing is Royal Mail strikes have ended, man. Basically, the staff who are represented by the CWU, which is the Communications Workers Union, have accepted a deal. Basically, members of the union voted by 67% to accept a deal with the Royal Mail that was reached in April, and the turnout of the members was more than 75%. I don't know why the other 25% didn't vote, but needless to say, 67% voted, and they said, you know what, fine, we're gonna end this the strike and stuff, man. So under the agreement, staff will get 10% rise over 3 years. They're also going to get a one-off lump sum of £500. The union did try to kind of get an annual increase in line with the rate of inflation, which obviously everyone will try to do, which is currently running at 8.7%. But basically, they've all settled now. No more strikes, and they've agreed to 10% over 3 years. And the last thing I wanted to mention, I spoke about this before, yeah. I don't know too much about this. This is like for people who are kind of in the gaming world. And basically, the competition watchdog that was kind of disrupting the whole acquisition of this Activision Blizzard with Microsoft. They basically reopened talks now, right? So the UK competition watchdog is ready to reopen these talks now. So after the company agreed to kind of stop the legal proceedings over the merger with the Activision Blizzard, right? Basically they wanted to restructure this. The deal was like worth $69 billion, and that was basically people kind of what am I basically saying? They basically thought there was some unfair dealings all over the place in it, basically, and they stopped it. They didn't allow Microsoft to basically do what they wanted to do. But basically, a US judge ruled on Tuesday that they could go ahead with the acquisition of the video company, the video games company, and that's basically what they're going to be doing, man. And that's pretty much it for the People's Journal.
All right, well, let's get into Wellness Wednesday.
All right. I feel like we all need some of this wellness.
You definitely do.
But this is for those people out there who want to label people terms that they're not. Right? Stop hating them. You know what I mean? Be welcoming. Yeah? Hate is too great a burden to bear. It injures the hater more than it does the hated. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Don't label people certain things. I understand that they want to learn, you know what I'm saying? And also correct you, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with correction, man. Hate is too great a burden to bear. It injures the hater more than it injures the hated. Next one is, I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear. That's by the great Rosa Parks. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I've learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear. And the last one's by the great Ella Fitzgerald, who said, just don't give up what you're trying to do. Where there's love and inspiration, I don't think you can go wrong. You know what I'm saying? So this for people out there trying to do certain things, don't give up, man. If you love what you're doing and you're inspired by what you're doing, you can't go wrong, man. And that's pretty much it, man.
Okay, let's do our last headlines for today then.
Congratulations, Davina, for passing your British Sign Language course yesterday.
That's lit.
Well done.
Big up you.
Throwing hands and that. Sorry. Let me do this again. Well done, Davina. Get some confetti on the screen. Lovely.
You're gonna upgrade that one day.
I have to. It looks so dead.
Do you feel... Oh, no, this is going to be... I can't even say that.
About sign language.
Kind of. Nah, I don't think I can say that.
What could you possibly have to say about sign language that could be offensive?
This is what I think about other things too. But apparently it's offensive.
No, go on, say it.
I can't.
But I'm
this
so
is
intrigued
different.
because what could you possibly have to say? It's sign language.
There was two things I wanted to ask. Yeah, one thing is, I'm not gonna say that first. But the first thing is, like, if obviously this is no shade or whatever. If someone asks you, oh, how many languages can you speak?
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you say
Sign language.
Yeah.
two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You speak in the language though.
Yeah, but come on. You
Yeah,
know
you are
what I mean?
speaking
That's semantics. More
Because
so.
I don't understand.
Okay,
It's
cool.
accompanied with song too.
Is it?
Sometimes.
Okay. Can you mute? I need to understand. I need to know
No,
what
wait.
you wanted to say. I need to know what the first one was.
No, he won't mute it. You know?
Please mute it.
Mute it.
Yeah, that's not offensive, but
Ask
no,
question
because
again.
that's
Wait,
not
say
offensive.
again?
No,
No,
it's
you don't-
unmuted.
Basically,
This is
the guy
how
says,
Emmanuel's mind works, everybody. Go
oh
on.
my God.
Go.
If
Whilst
people-
delivering the news, this is what he's
they're
thinking
not
about.
even trying to
Go.
say what you're gonna say. Let
So
you
basically,
say.
are disabled people going to feel what's called excluded?
Yeah, if for example, like, you know how Brent used the whole applause thing, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's hands. Everyone's clapping.
Yeah.
But if you're in a room with people who can't clap because maybe their hands, they ain't got no hands,
Yeah.
they're disabled, whatever. Like, is that not being inclusive?
So
No, 'cause
people
you
on
cheer for them.
wheelchairs, are they offended by everyone walking around them?
What if they said they were?
That's
They can't.
That's the
They
problem.
wouldn't be able to say that. They can't say that.
Why?
Because we live in a world where different people exist. That's
Yeah.
the whole point. And so they exist in the way that they exist. And then we exist in the way that we do as we walk around. But people who don't have hands, because the gym, there's a guy who trains like disabled people. I can't remember his page,
Yeah,
but I
he's
saw it on Instagram. And like he's sick. Like, and then like when they do something like really good, like he's found different ways to like cheer with them. Obviously, if they have no hands, he still cheers for them and they understand and like, they both communicate. So it would just be that.
Okay, cool. No, that, you know-
Everyone is not offended about things. That's the thing, because people ask for rights and everyone's like, oh my gosh, where does it end? The goats are going to want rights soon. It's not that. That's
But
not how it
remember,
works.
all of us have got hands here, so we wouldn't necessarily understand the plight of those who don't. So
Of course we don't, but as long as we're not making jokes and being disrespectful to them, I don't think it's not going to be a thing, because we live in a world where everyone looks different, everyone does things differently, everyone has different abilities, and that's really what it is.
I'll
That's why we have Paralympics. They're not excluded.
Yeah, but
Do you know what I mean? You got the Olympics and then you got Paralympics. Like we live in a world. The idea is that in the world we cater for different needs that there are, and we already do that. Well, we're still doing that with some things. But yeah.
All right. Okay. So in the same way, yeah. If like half the room was disabled, didn't have hands,
Yeah.
would you then say, "Oh, let's clap for da 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 da"?
Yes.
So what would
Because
they be doing?
No, because the act of clapping for somebody is you cheering for somebody. So that's a universal language. So they understand that you're cheering for them. If I said, like, unless you say something like to them, like, go on ahead and clap, that's rude. Do you get what I mean? But if we're celebrating them and we're clapping for them, they understand that. Obviously, we're throwing a few woos and stuff in there as well. They will understand that. Do you get what I mean? If I go to give them a high five, that's like, wow, you should have really thought about that one. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But then even with that, like, I'll find another way to communicate with them that I'm cheering for you and I'm celebrating you. People do that as well.
I mean, that makes sense to me, innit? Because to me, it's like you acknowledge the difference and we're consistent with the difference. But you've got, again, I don't want to bring up the other thing, but we've got, you know,
Will
what I
you
mean?
make jokes about someone who's disabled though?
No, of course not.
There's a difference.
But these,
I will let you do with that information what you will.
but others, I don't want to bring up the whole bonus hole thing again.
No,
But
you can bonus hole you like.
but
I
at the same-
actually like the term bonus hole. I think it's got a catchy ring to it. Want a piece of this bonus hole? I like that. I'm adding that to my vocabulary, actually.
That is terrible.
I'm embracing that. A bonus hole. Do you know how lit that is?
How?
It's lit. I mean, I don't think it's a bonus. It's the hole, but okay. It is what it is, because it is what it is, isn't it?
All right, cool, man.
I just want to highlight, a little showcase Rebecca's latest comment. She said that those without hands could rub their nubs together. Red card.
It's a red card.
Immediately red card.
So Rebecca said that.
Rebecca.
Can you imagine?
Rebecca.
The inclusive
We're
one.
in the upside down. I'm just waiting for Fernand to say something now.
And also, rubbing the knobs together won't make a noise. It won't make a clap noise.
You know what I'm saying?
It'll just be bare heat, friction.
You messing up their bones as well, like.
It would be.
Oh my goodness, Rebecca, that is very
Red
bad.
card.
You know what, Rebecca? That's why they read it out. Because there's hella comments all the time. They never read out comments. So they've just been waiting for an opportunity to get you, and I hate
We're
that
all
you
the
give
same
that to them.
people. Welcome. Welcome.
We're all the same, man.
We're not the same people. They try to say that about me too. We're not the same people.
Everyone knows.
All I'm saying
Me
is,
and Esther are the
Fernand,
same.
stop typing. Don't let them get you too. We are not all the same people.
And Rebecca, have a long memory.
Rebecca said I deleted it. Too late, baby.
Get off the
It's out
high
there.
horse, baby.
Davina is that this is the last time I'm sharing good news with you people. Rightly so.
Oh man, you lot are terrorists, man. All right, cool. Next headline. A bit of a trigger warning here as well, yeah. Kind of, anyway. Remember the whole Titan submarine thing?
I'm going to forget.
Well, according to Spanish submarine expert Jose Luis Martin, he basically said that the 5 passengers aboard the Titan submersible would have been aware of their fate approximately 1 minute before the implosion.
I hate people say stuff like that. Because no, you don't know that. Unless he was in there with them, he wouldn't know that. So stop trying to make headlines. You've got Rebecca calling now.
What on earth does this person want?
Rebecca, I hope that's you.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Who are we speaking to, please?
I'm speaking to Valerie.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Valerie.
How are you?
I'm okay. I just want to ask you. You say Esther, you said you like that. You're gonna add that to your vocabulary, yeah? Shouldn't the asshole be the ball? Because I swear that's the bonus.
You know what? Yeah,
No,
I did think that. But then I thought actually though, everyone's gone asshole.
Yeah. The thing is, I wasn't thinking that, but I was thinking, should that be the bonus? Because the bonus is the one that's in addition to, and the one that's lesser of. And if that's deemed as the holy grail to some.
Oh, I was even thinking of
Exactly.
do anal. Because I was thinking, I don't think that's where God intended things to go in. So I thought that was a bonus.
Just the tongue.
You can't say
Okay.
if you had to rank the holes, in order.
I'm fucking not ranking.
No, not
on
based.
a morning. What kind of
not
stupid show is this?
not based on the trans conversation, just based on your person.
I told you it's the hole. The vagina hole is
So
the
no,
hole.
rank it. So vagina number 1,
Vagina hole.
2.
Are we do mouth holes too?
Yeah.
Okay, my mouth first because I praise the Lord with that.
Okay, mouth first.
Then vagina.
Lord,
And then that's it.
What else?
Bonus.
And then the
Bonzo. Okay. Well, we're not counting
Don't
ears and nose.
forget-
Yes.
Yeah,
Those are
just say that.
holes.
I was just gonna say that. Don't forget the ears.
Ears and
holes,
nose.
holes.
Yeah.
There's too many holes to count, man.
Oh man.
Actually, I'm not counting holes anymore.
1, 2, 3,
Saying
4,
it.
5, 6.
This is what happened when you want to
So
add.
that you count.
Oh,
your
7,
notes that you
7,
count
7,
too.
7. Yeah.
So 2,
Those
4.
are 2 individual valves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I
6,
think
7.
Valve could actually slide in sex talk.
7. Yeah. The barber.
I think Valve could slide. That's the vocabulary. That's a word.
Oh man.
Valerie, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Valerie.
Yeah.
Gosh, this is ridiculous.
I don't even know where we are. Where we are? Okay, yeah.
You're really something wholesome.
Well, next one's related to the LGBTQ
Oh.
gender. Look, that's not my fault.
I got a bad text. That was not at any subject. I got dumped on text.
Sorry, Esther.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
All right, so I don't think there's no trigger here. A group of human rights organizations in Africa renewed their call this week for the American multinational Intel Corporation to dismiss a senior employee over his alleged involvement in fanning the growing anti-LGBTQ plus settlement in several countries, including Kenya and Uganda. In a change.org petition, supported by more than a dozen organizations, the rights groups claim that Greg Slater, who's Intel's Vice President of Global Regulatory Affairs, has been actively responsible for exporting, financing, and spreading hate and homophobia on the continent for decades through the American conservative organization Family Watch International. The activists accuse Family Watch International, which is run by Slater's wife Sharon, of lobbying high-ranking African leaders and lawmakers to block LGBTQ plus rights, allegations that have been dodged for years, by the way, by the Slaters. The organization is described as a hate group by the US civil rights group Southern Poverty Law Center. According to Jedediah Maynard of the Trust for Indigenous Culture and Health,
I haven't heard that name for a while.
for ages, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's basically it's a non-profit, but it's a Kenyan non-profit, right? They filed this petition. This guy pretty much said that the Family Watch International has sponsored trips for politicians and diplomats from Kenya, Uganda, and other African countries to train them on the extremist agenda against homosexuality, sexuality education, and reproductive rights. Many of these politicians go on to sponsor or support legislation that seeks to persecute innocent Africans. So that's just shows you right there, man. It's not necessarily African people who are doing this to to themselves, but there's a hidden hand at work also. And the last headline here is a trigger warning here. And a teenage boy has been charged after a teacher was stabbed in a corridor at school. The 15-year-old was charged with attempted wounding with intent and possession of bladed article following the attack at Tewkesbury Academy. Maths teacher Jamie Sansom was wounded just after 9 o'clock on Monday in the morning, first thing. The boy, who cannot be named due to his age, remains in police custody and will appear at Cheltenham Magistrates Court on Wednesday today. He was arrested in Stoke Orchard, some 3 miles from the school, about 2 hours after the stabbing. And in a statement on Tuesday, Mr. Sansom, who taught at that academy since 2017, said that he had not been breaking up a fight between students when he was wounded. He said he was recovering well from his injuries and hoped to be back in the classroom before the summer break if the doctors give him the all clear. Police said that he suffered a single stab wound and was taken to Gloucestershire Royal Hospital and discharged later the same day. The academy was locked down and 2 neighbouring schools were also asked to shut their doors just as a precaution following the incident. It added that there would be a police presence at the school over the coming days to provide reassurance to all the pupils. And that's it for the headlines, man. Time to pay the bills again.
Let's get into our last segment, the reaction.
All right, welcome to the reaction, guys. Let's have a look what we got today. All right, these first two we've done already. So before we get to the boxing, Brent, what's your thoughts on a rumor that Arsenal are inquiring about Julian Alvarez from Man City?
Alvarez is the attacker.
Alvarez is their second choice striker.
Striker?
Yeah, so Arsenal have inquired about Man City 23-year-old striker Julian Alvarez. Understands the striker wants more minutes and is on the exit ramp. Arsenal are willing to pay 50 million, but City value the striker at 70 million.
Ooh, I need to go on YouTube.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him playing at all.
You know Alvarez, man. Alvarez.
I know his name. I just
Oh.
haven't seen him playing.
Okay.
But if he's second to Haaland
Yeah.
and he deputizes,
Yeah.
then he's going to be wavy.
No, he's wavy. I think this is a pure rumor, though. One,
Okay.
Man City are not selling Arsenal their second choice striker.
Yeah.
Considering what selling two other players last season done to us.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening. So I think this is just Arsenal might have interest, but for Arsenal to believe that they can go in and get Man City second choice striker after almost pipping them to the league, it's not happening. So I think this is just a pure rumor. But it'll be interesting if it happens. Would you actually? I was gonna ask you. Would you take him? But
I am going to start looking at
have a look. Have a look.
right now.
He's good, and obviously he fits the profile and stuff like that. All right. What's your thoughts on this? So Juventus are willing to sell Pogba for as little as 10 million euros.
Fall from grace, man.
Question is Pogba's career over?
Nah. How old is he?
Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is how old now? He must be at least 29.
I don't think it's over.
Paul Pogba he's 30. He's 30. Injury ridden last couple of years. He hasn't really even played for Juventus. He's played just a handful of games, if that.
You should go to Qatar or Saudi, whatever.
To be fair, for someone who's a Muslim,
Yep.
I'm talking about Paul. For someone who's kind of in Saudi frequently, it would make sense for him. But I think him going to Saudi now will be him bowing out of the game, really. I'm trying to say, and footballers play until a lot later these days, isn't it? So at 30, he's still got some years left, but it's just that his career since leaving Juventus, obviously he's had a couple of highlights at United, but his career just hasn't really, taken off and hit the heights as it should have. His best days were his first stint at Juve. Apart from that, it hasn't been great, to be fair. Obviously, he got a World Cup and that, but besides that, hasn't been heaped in glory. Anyone here watch Wimbledon?
No.
Nah, I know.
When I was younger, I used to watch Wimbledon a lot. I used to watch tennis a lot, but now it goes over my head that it's even on.
This guy's out, isn't it?
Who?
The white guy. What's his name? He always loses. Andy. Is it Andy?
Murray?
Andy Murray. Is Andy Murray's?
Is it Andy Murray?
I haven't heard Andy Murray's name in
Andy
a
Murray.
while.
Yeah.
I haven't heard his name in a while.
Yeah, he's out again, man.
All right, cool. All right, let's discuss this next headline. So, Tyson Fury confirms next fight against former UFC champion Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia, October 28th. What do you think about that? What's our thoughts on that?
He's wasting everyone's time, man.
Who is?
Fury. That's what I think. He's wasting everyone's time. Ngannou's like a serious guy, but he's
No,
an
but-
MMA guy.
They're fighting with official boxing rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think
Yeah, but Ngannou's not a boxer. You know?
Oh, you're saying okay, cool. I thought you were saying that Fury's wasting his time, as in he's gonna lose or something.
Oh no. He's gonna win the fight very easily.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna go how every boxer versus MMA fighter goes. That's how it
Okay.
is. You know what I mean? Like, and he's just dodging. Like he should have been fought ages ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, early this year, innit? They should have put a
Yeah.
date in there. Should have been sorted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is the thing. People always get onto AJ, yeah.
Yeah.
But AJ's fighting. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He's fighting Dillian White, hopes to fight Wild at the end of the day if he beats
Yeah.
Dillian White,
Yeah.
and hopefully fight Fury.
Yeah.
But Fury's out here doing nonsense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel like boxing is becoming too much of a spectacle now? It's becoming too much of a circus with, for example, all the exhibition fights, the rise of the YouTube fighter, even, when Mayweather fought McGregor, like the cross branding, I guess.
Yeah.
And now this.
Yeah.
You feel like it's becoming too much of a spectacle?
It is, but at the same time, like, real boxing fights are happening. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too concerned about that whole thing. I just see that as just entertainment. You know what I'm saying? People are making their money, people are interested in it, let them do it. But there's real fights happening. Like I was saying, Spence and Crawford is going to be fighting July 29th. That's going to be one of the biggest fights for decades.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Canelo fighting, he's going to be fighting Charlo, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't see why he needs to. But anyway, like there's like proper fights being had. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So I can't really fault boxing as a whole. You know what I mean? But,
Right.
The first two are kind of like updates.
The first two.
Harry Kane's coming back.
Oh, okay, cool. Let me see.
Yeah. It's not much to it though. It's just like.
All right, Harry Kane is set to return to Tottenham on Wednesday, which is today, to meet with the manager. Face-to-face talks about his future. Sky Germany reporting Bame. We spoke about that yesterday. No, one thing I did see actually about this, which is an update, is that Spurs, I think, are offering him 400,000 a week to stay.
What's it getting now?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Crazy.
But when I saw that number, I thought, okay, that's a lot. Obviously, Spurs are not known for paying high wages like that. I'm pretty sure he'll probably be the highest paid player in the Prem. Brent, what do you think about that? 400k for Harry Kane a week to stay at Spurs?
Well, they'll need to do everything they need to do to keep him, and it'll be money well spent for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is that Kane is gonna say I'm gonna stay. We had a conversation about this yesterday. Whether it is that the whole beating this guy's record is bigger than him looking to compete.
No, for me it's competing. No, for me it's competing the Prem. Like for example, I feel like Harry Kane winning the Premiership means more to him than going to win the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So I would feel like not only could he obviously break Anish's record, but that's a secondary target. But winning the league, winning the FA Cup, winning something in Britain would mean more to him than going to win that German Shield.
So this record, he can still beat it if it is that he just moves to Man United, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know why he would stay at Tottenham.
But why has he stayed at Tottenham up until now? Thinking that he's going to win something, thinking that he wants to bring a trophy home. It's not going to happen.
I think it's because Levy decided that he wasn't going to accept any bids, and he just said, "Okay, cool."
He should try and force his way out.
Well, I think he would now do that.
Yeah, he has
One
to.
more year.
He has to. Yeah, I think he's got a year left. Yeah, he has to.
I
He has to force his way out.
It's wise, man.
Enough is enough, man. I'm not even obviously I support Arsenal, so I don't really care about Harry Kane, but I actually want him to go and win something.
Yeah, I want him to remove himself from Tottenham.
Yeah, I want him to go win something.
I don't care about him winning something. I want him to remove himself from Tottenham.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, quickly, there's no notes on this, just a headline. I see.
Oh no, that's the old.
Oh, it's an old one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just keep that there. So.
Okay. It's basically saying that cricket is deep rooted in racism, sexism, and classism. But yeah, guys, that is your rotation. Let's get into the outro.
So it's nice and quick, just how I like it. Thanks for tuning in. Do like the video. Thank you very much. I hope the likes are making sense. I haven't checked, but I hope they're making sense. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that great stuff, drop in your group chats, drop in your timelines. If you've got dilemmas to send in, do send it to us. And the number 075 6484 1073, or if you prefer email, it will be in the description box for you. Follow us on our social media platforms, The Day After TNB, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you want to inquire about the show or feature on the show, our email address is thedayafter@thenewblack.com. Also, obviously our babes Margs is not here, but No Behaviour have had a lovely announcement on their page, so go and check that out. Big show. That's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Peace.